In the 1700s, entire rooms of people began shaking uncontrollably, not from illness, but from worship. They screamed, they collapsed, and they believed every movement came directly from God. Outsiders didn't see faith, they saw possession, something spreading from body to body. At the center of it all was a woman authorities tried to silence, because stopping her voice meant stopping whatever this was. Witnesses struggled to describe what they were seeing. There were no sermons, no hymns, no calm reflection, just bodies. At first, the movement was subtle, a sway, a tremor, as if the room itself had shifted. Then it spread. One person would begin shaking, and moments later, others followed. Arms lifted without instruction. Feet struck the floor in uneven rhythm. Heads snapped back as breath turned into sound. Some screamed. Others went completely silent. Those inside believed the body was being purified, that sin lived in flesh and had to be forced out. But from the edges of the room, it didn't look holy. Faces locked between pain and relief, limbs moving past exhaustion, people collapsing, not unconscious, but emptied, and then standing back up, again and again. There was no clear beginning and no clear end. The movement could stop suddenly, leaving a room in total silence, as if nothing had happened. Outsiders didn't have language for this. They whispered words like fits, madness, possession. Some said watching it made them fear and tremble themselves, as if the shaking might jump from body to body. Others said the shaking followed them long after they left. And as more people witnessed it, the fear spread faster than the belief. Because whatever was happening in those rooms, it didn't stay contained. The authorities didn't see a movement. They saw a source, a single presence around which the shaking seemed to gather. Her name was Anne Lee, and wherever she went, the convulsions followed. She didn't preach from a pulpit. She didn't command the room. Witnesses said she barely spoke at all. The reaction came first. The words came later, if they came at all. That's what made her dangerous. Because this wasn't belief passed through speech. It was belief transmitted through the body. Authorities tried to stop it the only way they knew how, by locking her away. Once, then again, then again. Anne Lee was arrested repeatedly, publicly beaten, dragged through streets, where crowds gathered to watch her reduced, confined to narrow cells meant to exhaust the body and silence whatever moved through it. Days passed, then weeks, and still it didn't work. Each time she was released, the movement resumed. And with every attempt to silence her, more people began to follow, not because she promised salvation, but because something happened when she was present. People shook, people screamed, people collapsed, and then they claimed they felt lighter, as if something had been torn out of them. Outsiders didn't hear healing. They heard hysteria. They heard a warning. Eventually, the movement crossed the Atlantic, but the fear came with it. In the American colonies, the reaction was immediate. Communities watched entire families abandon their homes, parents leave children, husbands and wives separate permanently, because Anne Lee taught that sin lived in the flesh, and the flesh had to be disciplined, or denied completely. Sex was forbidden. Marriage was abandoned. Lineage was severed. This was not a movement designed to grow forever. It was a movement designed to purify, even if that meant disappearing. Outsiders finally gave it a name. They called them the Shakers. Not because of doctrine, not because of faith, but because of what their bodies did. To believers, Anne Lee was a vessel, a living conduit for divine will. To authorities, she was a contagion, and they were running out of ways to contain her. By the time authorities understood what they were dealing with, it was already too late to stop quietly. This wasn't a movement held together by sermons, or rules, or written belief. It was held together by experience. People didn't join because they were convinced. They joined because they felt something happen to them. And that terrified outsiders. Because you can argue with doctrine, you can outlaw gatherings, you can arrest leaders, but you can't easily contain something that lives in the body. Communities watched as neighbors changed. People who had once been ordinary became unrecognizable. They stopped sleeping at home. They stopped touching their spouses. They stopped behaving like they belonged to the world they came from. Families didn't just lose members, they lost futures, and no threat of punishment brought them back. That was the real danger. This was a belief system that didn't promise prosperity. It didn't promise power. It didn't even promise survival. It promised release. Release from the body, from desire, from the future itself. Authorities realized something worse than rebellion. If this continued, it would erase itself and take entire families, names, and futures with it. So the crackdown hardened. Public warnings were issued. Meetings were watched. Followers were mocked, then threatened. Rumors spread faster than facts. That the shaking was contagious. That children exposed to it would never be the same. That witnessing it even once could pull you in. People crossed the street to avoid shaker gatherings. Windows were shuttered. Doors were locked. Not out of hatred, but fear. Because no one could explain why it worked. Why rooms moved together. Why the shaking started and stopped without command. Why punishment failed to suppress it. To believers, Anne Lee had brought them closer to God. To everyone else, she had introduced something unpredictable into ordinary life. Something that refused to be reasoned with or punished back into place. And once that idea took hold, the fear no longer needed her. It lived on its own, long after Anne Lee would be gone. Anne Lee did not die publicly. There was no execution, no spectacle. She faded from the world quietly. But the reaction she left behind didn't. Without her, the movement didn't stop. It disciplined itself. The shaking continued, less violent, more controlled, ritualized. What had once frightened outsiders became structured, scheduled, contained behind closed doors. The Shakers survived, but they never grew the way other movements did. They didn't recruit aggressively. They didn't chase numbers. They waited, and when people arrived, they were stripped down, not physically, existentially. Desire was treated as contamination, intimacy as weakness, the future as temptation. They built communities designed to endure without offspring, which meant every generation had to choose them again. Most didn't. Over time, the world around them changed, and the panic faded, but not completely. The stories remained. People remembered the shaking. the screaming, the way ordinary neighbors walked away from their lives. Even when belief disappeared, the image didn't. Rooms moving in unison, bodies collapsing without instruction, silence snapping back into place. Anne Lee had been labeled a prophet, a heretic, a danger. But after she was gone, she became something else. A warning, not about faith, but about how quickly belief can escape language and move directly into the body. Because once that happens, you don't need a leader anymore. The reaction sustains itself. Today, Anne Lee's name rarely comes up without distance. She's described in textbooks, archived in museums, reduced to footnotes. The shaking is explained away, the fear translated into safer language. But unease doesn't vanish just because we rename it. Because the question this story raises was never theological. It was human. What happens when belief bypasses reason and moves straight into the body? When people don't just agree with an idea, they feel it take control. That's why Anne Lee still unsettles people. Not because of what she claimed, but because of what happened around her. Rooms moved as one. Lives were abandoned without coercion. The future was rejected willingly, and punishment didn't stop it. That's the part history struggles with, because it suggests something uncomfortable, that fear doesn't always come from lies, or manipulation, or madness. Sometimes it comes from watching ordinary people change, and realizing you don't have the language to stop it. Anne Lee didn't leave behind an empire. She didn't leave behind armies. She didn't leave behind monuments. She left behind a reaction and the memory of rooms that wouldn't stay still. A reminder that belief doesn't need permission. It doesn't need explanation. And once it enters the body, authority arrives too late. Because by the time you recognize it as a threat, the shaking has already moved on to another room. And that's why her story still gets retold, not as faith, not as history, but as unease.